Hello YouTube, thought I'd do another video here. If you've been following my channel, I did a video on my universal DIY quarter wave GMRS or ham antenna kit. This video I'm going to show you one of the ways to put it together. So that's what this video is going to be about. I'm not going to show you how to drill holes and all that stuff, but I'm going to show you how to get this thing together. Now, before we get into this, if you're wondering, well, what length of wire do I need for the frequency I'm going to be transmitting on? Well, I'm going to post a link to a website that lets you calculate. You punch in the frequency you're going to be transmitting at, and you can select inches or whatever, and it will calculate the length that you need. So for an example, number A, the vertical, it's got to be 6.6 inches. That's this part right here. And then number B, which is the ground plane, is going to be 6.79. So this website tells you what length your wire has to be, okay? Now you're still going to need an SWR meter to double check your SWRs when you get this all done, okay? So I'll post that link down below. Now, a couple items you're going to need to get, okay? And first off, you're going to need a 1/16 inch drill bit. Optional super glue, prefer the liquid. I'll explain why in a moment. And what I don't have here in front of me, because I ran out, a tube of silicone. It can be regular silicone or it can be the adhesive type, okay? The next item you're going to need 4 number 6 3/8 sheet metal screws. And then optional, depending on how you want to build this, a ring terminal. This ring terminal is for gauges 16 to 14, and it will work with a screw size of 4 to 6. Obviously, these are 6s, so they fit really nice. And this is what a ring terminal looks like. I'll explain more why that's an optional in a minute. And then when you get your antenna all built, the SWRs are all adjusted, everything is good, you're going to need to spray it down with some clear coat that's got UV resistance in it to help with the sunlight. Even though this is outdoor plastic, I still highly recommend putting at least 2 coats on of this clear coat. And I'll post a link to where you get this. I got this at Walmart, and it's not terrible expensive, but that's what you got to do. You can use, I'm using semi-gloss. You can use gloss, but, whatever, clear coat, so, whichever. But make sure it has UV resistant in it. Do at least 2 coats of that after your antenna's all put together and your SWRs are good and you're happy with what you got, okay? So, now, this is how you put it together. Now, this adapter will fit a 3/4 inch PVC pipe. Your coax will come through here. You feed it through here. What I mean by that is like this. Then this would feed through here like that. You put it like that, okay? That's what I mean. Now, I'm not going to sit here and demonstrate how to screw on a connector, but you get what I mean. So once you get that on there and you got your coax fed through, this other base goes on. Now, the SO239 goes on there. Make sure your holes are lined up to the holes on the base here, like you see here. This is where you're going to use the 1/16 drill bit to drill your holes for the 4 little screws. Okay, now this is where you can do it a couple different ways. You can use a ring terminal if you want to for your ground plane. Then put the screw through there. Or if you're using thin enough gauge wire, you could technically just put your screw on here and then wrap your wire around there and have it come down through this hole. I'll kind of show you what I mean here in a minute. But once you get those all mounted up, then go ahead and screw on your connector here. Now this will sit fine on there. Your coax cable will hold this on here. But if you're worried about it coming off, there's 2 ways you can do it. You can put some silicone here. Do not put super glue on here, because remember, you got to reach in here to unscrew your cable. So put silicone on here, or if you don't want to do that, you can drill a hole through here for another sheet metal screw that would go into here to help hold it on. It's your choice. Like I said earlier, I don't like putting holes. Maybe somebody doesn't want to do that. Maybe somebody just wants to put a little bit of silicone and they don't want holes all over. So that's why I leave some of the drilling up to you. But that's how you can mount that on there. Now the next part is these tubes. Now here is where you can decide. They fit snug, but I would recommend if this is going to be a permanent, you're not going to change it, then I recommend putting super glue around here to glue these in. Once you glue them with super glue, you're not going to get them apart. If you don't want to do that, you can use silicone to help hold them in. It's your choice. I'm going to leave that up to you. So you install those. Now the wire you're going to use, like I mentioned before, we can use small gauge wire because this tube is going to help hold the shape of the wire. So what we're going to do is I'm using this phone wire. It's really small, and it's so small I could probably wrap it around that screw and don't even need a ring terminal. But that's up to you. Again, it depends on how you want to do this. A lot of different options. Now these caps that go on the end, they fit pretty tight. I would probably put a little bit of silicone on them just to make sure they don't come off. I wouldn't super glue these on because if you ever want to change the wire or something, or whichever the case is, you want to fish up different wire, you don't want to have to have these glued on there. So I would just use a little bit of silicone. Okay. So once you get all that, now the antenna part, that's the beauty of this kit. I made this kit universal. What I mean by that is this antenna part right here, what I mean by that is if you look at a SO239, the actual antenna, I'm talking about the tip, there's two different ways you can do this. If you want to get fancy, and I mentioned this in my other videos, get yourself a 3 millimeter by 3 millimeter coupler. They got element screws on here. And the reason being is you can adjust the SWRs to a certain degree by just moving this rod up and down. And in this particular instance, I have a piece of coat hanger that I've used. Matter of fact, this is for my other antenna. Now, you don't have to use this coupler. You can solder the wire on directly to this and trim the wire by cutting it to get the SWRs you need with using your SWR meter. But this is a little bit better way of doing it. Yes, you can mismatch. You can use a solid wire here and use thinner wire here. It's whichever way, or you can use the thin wire on here. It's whichever way you want to do it. But the housing assembly will fit this coupler. So I designed it to fit the coupler if you choose to use it. Okay, so now once you figure out which way you're going to mount your antenna, now we got to put the top together. Again, if you're 100% sure you're not going to change this, then you can super glue these parts on. If you're not sure, you want to play around, then I would not super glue it. I would use the silicone adhesive type of glue. So we're going to take a rod. There's a cone assembly. And we're going to put this through here. We're going to have a little bit sticking out, like about 1/8 of an inch sticking out. I don't know if you can see that. So you can either super glue this cone onto this rod or use silicone. And then again, we're either going to use super glue down here or silicone. And this is going to go through here like this. And we want it to like that. Remember, you'll see a little bit sticking through, and that's what you want. Okay? Again, the cap, I would just put silicone on there and put that on there. Okay? Now, this part, you do not want to super glue. I'm going to say that one more time. Do not super glue this. Well, I guess you can. You're just never going to get it apart. So I guess that's up to you. But I would use adhesive silicone. Once you get your top in, you're done with your SWRs, you're done tweaking it, there's tabs here on this base. You put silicone on these tabs. Or you can put silicone, let me grab a pointer here. You can put silicone all the way around this edge too to help hold this top on. There's tabs. I do it both ways. Put silicone on tabs and around all this to hold this top on. Remember, this weighs 4 ounces, not including the wire you use, which would not be very heavy to begin with. Okay. Now you could, if you want to, you could probably take, and this is why I don't make holes, because everybody wants to do their thing their own way. You might be able to use a screw. Probably what I would probably do, use a screw and washer down here. You could drill that and put a screw in there to help hold this top on. It's whatever way you prefer. I wouldn't put it above the tab though. There's not enough meat up there, but you could do it right here and put a washer on. You know, whichever way. Again, all the options are up to you. I don't like to preset things or have holes and stuff like that, and that's why I leave it up to you on how you want to do this. Okay, but once you're done putting this together and you got the silicone in place, everything is dry, SWRs are good, make sure you spray it down at least 2 coats with this clear spray to help protect it against the sun. UV resistance means protection against the sun. So spray it all down. I'd say a minimum of 3 coats just to be on the safe side, and then voila, you are done. Now you got yourself a nice little lightweight antenna. Even if you use solid wire, I don't think it's going to add much weight. Like I said in the other video, without the wire, but including the SO239 and not including the screws, but just the antenna and this was 4 ounces. So if you use solid wire and you add another ounce, that's still a very light antenna. 5 ounces, 6 ounces, it's still very light. Now I know what you're probably thinking is, why don't I, just send it with it together? Well, remember, I got to ship this thing. So I'm trying to keep the shipping costs down. I don't have to want to buy weird boxes and have this big box coming. So that's why there's some assembly required, because I got to get this to your door. So that's the reason why it does not come assembled per se. You got to supply some of the hardware and the wire for the antenna that you're going to build. But other than that, maybe in the future, maybe I'll have one that will be ready to go. Maybe I'll tune it to the middle band of the GMRS frequency, and then you just hook up your coax and that's it. Maybe I'll offer something like that. I don't know. But nevertheless, that's how you put this kit together. So there, if you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. Please subscribe. Thank you, and have yourself a good day.